indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome all, I guess. We have privilege of the floor, I think Craig is the only guest. Barring any comments from Mr. Fox, we'll move to the minutes on page 3, which if they've been received and reviewed, and a motion to accept as presented.
So moved.
As we do.
Second.
Second, please.
Second.
I think I heard, yeah, I thought I heard one. Any other questions or comments? Okay, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? The minutes will carry. Treasurer's report on page 5.
Nothing really to report. Everything is in order and expectations. The revenues are down a little bit and the expenses are up a little bit. Not enough to worry about. The balance sheet is in keeping with expectations also. And unless there's questions, I really don't have nothing to add about this one.
Had a motion to accept it?
So moved.
Second? Or was that, did you make? a
I'll
motion?
second.
Okay. We have a first and a second. Any questions? Any questions or comments? All in favor of the treasurer's report?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? The motion carries. Committee reports. There are no committee reports, right? No. So we'll go to, is Jay? Yeah.
Jay,
Right,
unless
sitting
you want-
right across.
you want-
I'm used to you sitting down there. And I even spoke with you. You can be unimposing at times.
Well, thank you.
You just hit right
I
into
guess.
the background.
I try to once in a while.
We'll hear from Mr. Madison.
All right, well, thank you, and I apologize for missing the last meeting. I understand it was a little bit on the short side, so we'll try to make that not happen again.
We made note of it. Yeah, it's been at least 20 minutes longer.
Thank you for your report.
Yeah, thank you.
Anyone have any questions?
Yeah. So the biggest thing I'd like to report on is we are in the process of starting what we're calling the Dairy Workforce Focus Group. This is something that is in response to the challenges that the dairy industry and all other industries are encountering as far as maintaining and finding a workforce. And now with the growth of dairy processing across New York State, there have been concerns expressed about how that will impact our existing dairy processors. Not a big impact expected here in Jefferson County from the growth statewide. The closest big project is the Chobani project in Utica, but there still could be some drain of current employees out of our processors into those others. And then hopefully there might be need for more employees in the future. So what we've done is brought together a focus group, a team of about 22 people, I think it is, ranging everywhere from dairy farmers, dairy processors, up through to even the governor's office, to help us take a look at what programs already exist to assist in retaining and growing our employment base in dairy, and then also to start to look at what other efforts are needed to grow that employment base for dairy. So it's going to be an interesting effort, challenging at times, I'm sure. But the group is very enthusiastic. In fact, our first meeting a week or so ago, I had an hour-long agenda, and they complained at the end that we didn't have enough time to go through everything. So they told me we have to have longer meetings. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
Just to be clear, Jay got like one word in.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
I
it
was-
was not me.
this was not a,
So
Not
who
me.
did you who spearheaded this?
We are.
We are.
We are calling it the Jefferson Lewis Dairy Workforce Focus Group. And we are inviting a regional group of people together, but it was initiated by our office. And for at least the foreseeable future, will probably be the lead organization to make the effort happen. So
Who's leading it for Lewis County? Who's the extension or IDA?
there's nobody leading it from Lewis County. Cornell Cooperative Extension is involved. They actually had a couple people attend. We had a county legislator attend. We did invite Naturally Lewis, but they could not attend the first meeting.
So for the most part, this is gonna all fall under your guidance and your administrative efforts, steering that.
I think we will be involved in steering it for the foreseeable future. But there's no, unless Marshall feels, he and I have not had that conversation about how far out do we take this. But my vision would be we lead unless somebody else would be better. If it emerges that it would be better under Cheryl Mayforth, for example, and if she was willing, then put it wherever it needs to go. But it is a need, and our job is either to do it or cause it to happen. And so right now we are causing it to happen.
So you're still in sort of a strategic planning? Where's this?
Oh,
thing
we're
at?
very much in the infancy. Our first meeting consisted of Alex Walsh from the Northeast Dairy Processors Association. He came up while he was online and did a presentation. And I think I've shared a lot of the information with you about the growth in dairy processing statewide. I wanted to set the stage so that everybody at the table had a baseline of information to work from as we go forward. Then I had Cheryl Mayforth talk about where we are at with the workforce, the extremely low unemployment numbers. What does she see in the pipeline and stuff? Again, to set that baseline of information for everybody at the table to work from as we move forward. Then the conversation quickly led into, here's a situation that the dairy farms are facing. Didn't talk a lot about immigration issues, but that certainly plays into it a little bit. So the next meeting is going to take that conversation that started after the baseline presentations of what is the picture out there and where can we have the most impact with this focus group. Look for those low-hanging fruit first and then dig into the bigger issues as we go. And again, there's no this has to be our program or their program. This is a very fluid effort, and the most important thing is to position our dairy industry as best we can for the potential of growth, both in dairy processing and on the dairy farming side of things. So it's something that we feel is a critical issue to address.
It is critical. And I'll be looking forward to hearing about it in our Tuesday morning meetings with the Ag
Sure,
Council.
absolutely, absolutely.
Anything else?
There's just been a lot of things going on, but that's the big thing to report on for today.
Any other questions or comments from the board?
What's the timeline on the Chobani build out? Is it inked? Have they put things out to bid, or is it still conceptual?
Seems like things broken down.
Yeah, they broke ground. You're probably looking at a 3-year time frame before it's in operation.
No.
Yeah. There's a lot of work to be done there yet. So, I would project out a 3-year timeline. They're probably projecting 2. Realistically, you're probably with a massive project like that, you're looking at 3. And they're going to, even though on the workforce side of things, they're indicating they're going to use a lot of the immigrant population that's there in that area. But I think they're going to run into the issues of, where's the workforce going to come from?
Hopefully there's been some resolution between now and then.
Well, let's hope so.
Yeah.
let's hope so. So,
Okay, thank you. Manufacturing, marketing, whichever order.
So I guess I want to talk a little bit about the great experience that we had with the building trades fishing trip. That was an outstanding day. The guests loved it, and they caught a ton of fish. I also am pleased to hear reports from the fishing guides. They thought that it was they referred to it as a corporate event. They thought it was the most well-run corporate event that they've experienced. I thought it was complete chaos. I mean, it was just like, we had a big group of people, and thank you to the chairman for being there to assist in the deploying of the guests onto the boats.
Boat tender.
Yeah. We had one of the guides on the dock, and he of course knows everybody. And so as the boats would come in, he would recognize the boat and say, okay, that's a 5-person boat, because some of them are much larger than others. And so Matt would turn to Rob and he would say, we need 5. And then Rob would run down the dock and he'd hold up a 5.
That was a
and,
sheep herder. Sheep herder and boat tender.
and I'd say, you have a group of 5. There you go. And they would walk on the dock, hop on the boat, and they would take off.
It went pretty seamless.
It went pretty seamless.
We had everyone out on the water probably by 6:15, 6:20
Yeah.
the latest. And
Yeah.
6 a.m. was kind of the first takeoff.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
And
like boats there at 6.
yeah, everybody was ready to go. And of course the guides were, and the early bite made all the difference. So the ones that got out in the water first, they tended to have the best luck. Of course I waited, so we got everybody on the boats, and then we had probably 6 people, I think it ended up being, that didn't show, because we had 1 or 2 people come to go that hadn't reached out. So, I waited, because we put everybody on the boat appropriately, and then we had, because again, we'd had, 6 or so not show. The last boat was Matt and I, and we waited probably 40 minutes, just in case some stragglers showed up late. And we got 2 of the smallest salmon that were swimming in Lake Ontario, and that was it. And of course, Matt thought that everybody was having, we could hear the chirping, and he was kind of talking to them, we got some. We became very concerned about feeding everybody. And I don't know why we were concerned, because it was difficult lifting the coolers out of the boats and putting them on the dock, and including 1 25-pound lake trout. It was just really fun. All the guys and gals loved it. There was a number of people that are working with captains to schedule another trip. And for a lot of these folks, it was, they say, oh, this is my first time fishing. I think they probably had some experience fishing, but it was just a great day. That's the bottom line. The lunch was great. We had 1 or 2 regional guys there. They all loved it. It was just a good.
Is there a plan to do a follow-up to, I guess the goal was to sell the area to live in or move to?
Yeah.
I would assess maybe 30% of them were semi-regional or had been to Henderson,
Yeah.
that area before.
Yes.
And it wasn't Henderson, but that area, Southern Jefferson.
Yep.
So is there a follow-up to make sure, like, hey, is there some other doors?
We
Because
do.
the goal is to showcase the county.
Yes, it is, and we have some more events coming. Yes, absolutely. And I'm also pleased when I get reports from, for instance, from Mr. Lancette from the Central New York Building Trades, about the things that he's hearing about the trip and how great it was and all those things. And that to me is the real, the great. He's been up for a number of things here recently, and he's really been sort of our contact and conduit into the building trades, as he is the president of the Central New York
And
Building
it
Trades.
did, connected to that, it did read that Micron got some critical permits. I don't know if they're the only critical permits, but it seems like there's a lot of permits required, but
Yeah,
it sounded as though some things happened.
some things are moving forward. Yep, I have full confidence in that project, more so now than ever before. I stand looking forward to that happening, because I believe it's going to.
Isn't one of the assets that that's hard to find and duplicate elsewhere is the water resources.
100%. I mean,
That are
Henderson
really
Harbor, I mean, it's for someone that's never seen that. And I mean, there are people in Watertown that have never seen the river. That's something that always shocks me. But our water resources in Jefferson County are beyond compare.
But even just, not just water, natural resources.
Natural resources.
I mean, there's lots of state parks that are inland and places to hike and hunt and whatever you want to do. You don't have to live indoors.
No.
Unless you're from Alabama and here in December. And then you're stuck indoors.
You're very concerned.
And I really feel sorry for the guys coming from Alabama that never saw winter before.
Winter. I remember guys from Alabama up on the island,
Yeah.
middle of July with sweatshirts on because
Oh, I know. I've been with you. I've been with you. I know what you mean. It's, boy, the weather's cool and it's 85, we're sweating our butts off. Not the same.
Always profess that the St. Lawrence River is the eighth wonder of the world. If the world ever discovers it, we're through.
I totally agree.
Okay.
It's magical.
Anything else under manufacturing?
Yes, it's one of these things where we have so much moving parts here that affect other things. Metalcraft is moving into their new facility and has been doing so. The manufacturing piece seems to be going very well. We had our Manufacturers Alliance meeting that had some of the political folks join us for that. And that was very, very well received. Knowlton's was a sponsor. Thank you to Knowlton's. It was a great event that generated a lot of positive feedback. And certainly it was one of those things where, we had set it up such that it was an opportunity for the political folks to kind of listen to the issues that the manufacturers are facing, and not I have this problem, how can you solve it? Because a lot of these problems are large problems. We also had the benefit of the political folks sort of telling these folks kind of what's on the table, because there are some scary pieces of potential legislation that are on the table here moving forward that could affect them negatively in a fairly profound way. So sort of an opportunity to kind of give everybody a little bit of a heads up, and hopefully these things don't come to fruition, because they're the same kinds of things that people maybe from outside the area talk about, that they think won't have, that are, I think what they envision of being these environmental policies that are only positive things for everyone, but they have disastrous consequences for like manufacturers and things that we are doing up here. So that was a really great program.
I was a little disappointed, though. I think there's one critique. I expected to see more manufacturing concerns or entities there.
Yeah.
What were there, maybe 4 or 5?
Yeah, and that, I mean, we had 43 people, I believe it was. There was agency people there too, of course.
That was the majority of it.
Yeah. I guess the good thing was, in some ways, the 4 or 5 brought some folks. So that was a positive thing. But that's, for these manufacturing alliance stuff, that's kind of typical on the numbers. And it is a lot of the same people.
And it's not by lack of effort of the,
Oh, no.
Yeah.
of our offices. We see that across every sector of the economy. We have programs for dairy farmers and how many show. So it was a good program and a lot of effort was put into
A lot of good
getting people
information.
there.
Yeah, I thought so. I mean, I wish everybody, frankly, was there, because of the comments and everything else. So, yeah. Good program.
And here again, part of that effort was back to workforce. Their concerns, number one concern is workforce.
Yep. I apologize. I have one little snippet to add.
30 seconds. You have 30 seconds.
On October 16th, New York, or Jefferson County Farm Bureau is having their 3-county annual meeting. They're going to 3 counties this year. They're going to have a really great speaker. Her name is Amanda Freund. She is the creator of Cowpots, a huge entrepreneur. She's been on Shark Tank. She's out of Connecticut. And I mention it because we just confirmed everything last night at the Farm Bureau board meeting. Really excited to have her coming up. She's a huge entrepreneur, and I think it's going to be a really great presentation. So October 16th, put that on your radar screen. Even though it seems a long ways away, it isn't. So thank you, sir.
Hosting in Watertown?
It'll be at the it'll be in Rodman, at Shannon Van Conen's facility, which I'm forgetting the name of at the moment. But I will get more information.
Location wise, it's gonna be in Jefferson.
Anything for marketing? Thank you.
Fishing trip was the big point I wanted to make on
All
that.
right. Page 19, ARPA reports. Robin, I think you usually take us through
Yeah,
those.
we're reaching out to them. We did have one complete last month, and I'm reaching out. There was a couple, like one wanted to purchase a backhoe and had it online, and then the business sold it to somebody else.
Oh,
And
okay.
yeah, so they're looking for, so there's some that they're still working on their project, so we'll be pushing them through.
All right, any questions on these two-page documents? We have a resolution to pass, not resolution, excuse me, a grant to approve. No, Justin, I suspect nothing from council in this meeting?
Yeah, nothing on this one.
Okay, thank you. Moving to page 21, we have a grant to consider. Whom would like to give us context on that? Rob?
Jay.
Jay?
So this is from Sugar Daddy's Maple Syrup. That's the name of their company. It's two different farms that are working together on this in this company. They're producing maple syrup. They already utilize an existing grant recipient who does co-packing for them. They bring their sap to this facility and have it bottled. What they'd like to do is expand their capacity. Sugar Daddies would like to expand their capacity to make value-added products and to package for schools. They already supply maple syrup to schools. They'd like to expand that capacity, which I think makes this application very unique. So they're trying to grow that value-added production capacity, be able to do more business with local schools. And I think you have everything in front of you, yes. Do you have any questions for me on anything?
I'll read this. I mean, Jay's already
Sugar
given us
daddies
the-
in the school, so.
So Sugar Daddy's maple syrup, the funding recommendation through the grant committee was 10,000. The total project is 11,598.94 cents. Sugar Daddy's maple syrup in Mansville. We've already gotten a summary of the project. We have a summary of the equipment to be purchased. And you didn't mention, but they've already applied for, this is the food resilience grant, sorry. When I read Jefferson County, I was thinking another grant. So with that,
Motion. Second.
in a second, okay, any other discussion?
Looks like it hits all the marks.
Simple, yes or no, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? That grant recommendation carries. Leads us to adjournment.
So move.
We have a first and a second and probably a third, fourth, and fifth. So all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, we stand adjourned. That'll move us to our next meeting, the IDA. Already done our pledge. Bear with me, so I get papers and process here. Privilege of the floor. We still really have no guests. Mr. Fox, with us to speak. Okay, minutes on page 3. They've been received and approved, and if so, motion to accept, please.
So moved.
We have a first from Dave and a second from
Second.
Lisa. Any questions or discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstaining? No. The minutes carried. Treasurer's report, page 6.
Well, not to sound like a broken record, but if you look at the revenues, even if you take the pilot sale leaseback fees, and there's no way I anticipate we're going to make our projected revenues for this year. So that's not good news. Other than that, the balance sheet looks okay based on expectations. I'm trying to get to them. Our micro loan receivables, it's a better looking picture. We have no one in arrears. They're all making payments, so which is better than being 3 and 4 months in arrears. So that's going well. And other than that, unless there's a question on a specific line, that's all I would have on the treasurer's report.
Okay, we have a motion to accept the report.
So move.
Yeah, I'll second
Okay,
it.
you seconded
I
again.
get my things moving.
I have just a couple quick updates, and we can discuss about one of the matters more in executive session if we need to. But Marshall mentioned the closing of Metalcraft, so that closing is attached to getting our balloon payment of the loan for LCO Destiny. So that that closing is around 10 or 11, and then we're around 3 to 5 days after that. So somewhere within this month, those funds should be received, barring any other minor delays. There's lawyers from each side involved, and they find some little nitpicky thing that delays it 5 days every week, it seems. But no defect in the project, no defect in the transaction. It's just a matter of, I think the last one was adjusting lot lines. It was like, what are we buying? So that was something that's out of our control. Convault, we do have Justin on. Dave Capriotti has given Marshall an update earlier this week. What I'll say outside of executive session is we do have good discourse going on with Convault's lawyer. It's confirming how much they owe, when they can pay, kind of discussing the progress of how the payments are going to come. So even though the loan is in default and it looked kind of dreary several weeks ago about lack of response on different things, there is good discourse going on, and we'll hear more later if we need to go into executive session, but that's probably all I'm prepared and should say in public, because it is an ongoing legal matter technically. Any other questions? All in favor of the report? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? Okay, that carries.
I have a quick question.
Go ahead.
On the
3 Mile
report,
Bay Ventures, are they consistently, they still owe us money?
yes.
And they are behind. I have had discussions with Casey about getting them squared away, and he, without getting too far into it or disclosing too much, they have plans to get us paid potentially in full soon, and that includes the loan.
Thank you.
So they're looking at taking us out?
That is what's being discussed.
Excuse me, when you've been having discussions, they owe us for the first application
Yes, they
fee,
do.
correct?
Yes, they do, and that's been our focus. Yep,
Okay.
and they're behind on those payments.
Are they behind on the loan payments?
I don't believe so, no.
Okay, well, if that didn't show up.
Yeah.
2 months ago, we agreed to accept partial payments,
Yeah.
getting through with that. Were you aware of this big expansion
No,
plan?
I read that in the newspaper, and that's another reason why I reached out to them so sort of, I don't want to say aggressively, but I needed to get some information here.
Well,
So
They've been forthright.
they've been forth, and then
Well-
as soon as they were like, okay, yeah, I see how that looks. Yes.
it didn't look good that
No money for that.
And it was kind of disheartening to see that, we've given them an extension after extension on that payment. And then we find out they have these massive plans they're working on.
Just different phases.
So, okay.
Anything to update on alternative energy or building and grounds?
Alternative energy, I see Jay's got the report in front of him. NIPA has released their draft strategic plan for renewable energy, and it includes them partnering, is the best I could make out of it, being either purchasing projects or co-developing projects, and there's several in Jefferson County that are on their list. Boralex, AES, and Shamo, the 2-county one in
New Leaf Energy.
Yeah, so there's several in there, so it's something to watch. I think there's a public hearing coming up. I just don't understand, Jay, can you, the one, they call them joint, how did they refer to it? Co-development?
Co-development, yes.
I'm not sure, I couldn't get a handle on what that means, but
They really don't define that.
No, not from what I read.
so.
Yeah, from what I
Are
read.
they
it's-
gonna own the project? Who's gonna own the project? Are they just a funding partner? But it's gonna have an impact on potentially whether or not there's any tax revenue and it goes back to what we've talked about, trying to get pilot tax idea on what they're expecting in pilot taxes and trying to get those in place prior to any of those things, because the one thing I did hear from the state is that if there's a pilot in place, NIPA will honor those. So,
If you'd like me to, Paul, I can
I'd love you
email
to.
this out to the board members afterwards.
it's only 100 pages, so they got time.
I know.
119. Yep.
And there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I believe, projects that are co-developed projects in Jefferson County, so.
And many in St. Lawrence County,
yeah.
some in Lewis County.
So it's something to watch. It's a draft, but
The other thing to watch, people, the big beautiful bill has killed renewable energy. There will be no more wind.
That's why the state's gonna fund it. Because
They're
they're
not.
stupid.
It's
They
word,
don't follow any economic policies. They have taxation of people.
the word from one of the developers is the federal government at this point is looking to honor those tax credits to any permitted projects currently. Any projects that are permitted, but any upcoming permitted projects, they're disallowing the tax credit. And without the tax credit, they just don't work. They just do not work. So as it stands right now, I don't foresee, unless, they're gonna come back and rewrite that portion of the bill, there's not gonna be any more renewable.
what's the
energy
definition of
projects.
permitted? Because we have 3 or 4 permitted projects.
They are, and those are the ones that you're referring to, the ones that Torres has issued the permits for.
So I don't, coming back to our revenue stream from pilots, justifying our budget, it's really questionable,
We shouldn't be surviving on renewable energy projects anyway. This is economic
Well-
development, not energy development. And
I mean,
don't
I
have a
hate
lot of
to
economic development
bring it
going
up,
on.
but we have the project I asked about last month that we approved in Houseville. We approved a pilot for it that still hasn't closed. Are they gonna close? I'm ready to say, we're gonna talk about the UTEP later, and we gotta stop having open, we gotta have defined, you close within a certain amount of time on these projects, because it's not the first one that's left us hanging for a long period. And they were scheduled to start this spring, John, weren't they? And there hasn't been a truck or a driveway put in over there, so.
At some point, we're gonna discuss the housing.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
later on.
That's later
It's
on.
under
Yep.
new business, I believe.
Thank you.
Which is the UTEP in general, yeah. Anything else under alternative energy?
No, that would be it.
John, anything for building and ground, you want to update us?
We haven't met. It sounds like we got a couple of subjects, one being the turning lane.
Right.
that we need to discuss at the board level, which is fine.
Okay. I guess that's a good segue. On our packet is just the Jefferson County Corporate Park, because that was JCC
Absolutely.
stands for. More acronyms I gotta know. Turn lane discussion. So we were all given just a simple paragraph. A turning lane to a private enterprise off a state road, crossing our land and looking for some form of an easement. And, we can either quickly debate it, or what I honestly suggest is I feel like that's why we have building and grounds. We don't need to rush things, and that's just my opinion, but I am only a single vote of many, so.
Well, if I can just kind of jump in a little bit there, as mentioned in the email, that this was going to be coming up, and just for a really more of an informational piece, and that if we wanted to kick it, not anticipating any action at all in this meeting, and wanted to bring it up, and then, as I said, kick it back to building and grounds, specifically in that email, because I don't like jumping around on these things or bypassing committee. That's what they're there for. So it is a project that is looking, as the chairman said, to have an easement over our property into the project. I don't know really.
It's not in the industrial park.
It's not in the industrial park.
I just want to underscore that.
Yep, it's an
tremendously.
And it makes an enormous difference because this type of project wouldn't be permitted
Because if it
inside.
were in the industrial park, we wouldn't really be having this.
Yep, we wouldn't be having this at all. Would be violating our covenants. So, but it is a project that's going on, that's looking to move forward, and this is a part of the many pieces that involve this project. So,
So I don't, if any board members have dissenting opinions about having a deeper dive through building and grounds, and we weren't gonna take any action anyway, so I think we discussed it about as far as we were gonna discuss it today. Anyone have any difficulty with taking the route of pushing it into building and grounds and seeing where we come at next month at our full board meeting?
It's a good idea, and
Okay.
Marshall had expressed earlier, he feels like he needs some help trying to resolve this, and it's the perfect resources to.
yeah, and Justin has been helpful too in this process. So, as always.
Okay. John, do you have any difficulty with accepting this task?
Task of which is given.
Do you have a survey map that you can send us, or?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was.
Was that it? Was
It
that
was
what the
in-
email
Should have been on your
It was
email.
in,
Yeah.
there was a picture. It wasn't maybe a survey map, but
I don't-
the survey was,
I have a
the
copy
plat
of
was
the,
underneath the
I
picture.
remember reading the email, but I don't.
There was a
remember seeing
picture.
anything.
There was actually a drawn picture with
I
the
was just
survey
trying to
plat
find it. I got
appeared
it.
to be underneath it.
Yeah, there is some question where the current DOT
Right.
right away
There was a
extends.
survey map that
So-
you shared,
Those are details that we need to look at.
excuse me, you shared a survey map when we talked about the electrical.
Mhm.
And that same survey map shows the proposed
Yeah.
turning lane, if you could resend that to everyone.
Yeah,
But there is a
this
survey-
email
The picture's
had-
probably better.
The email, the actual picture was better. It seemed like the survey plat was underneath it. It at least showed the boundaries of the land.
Probably didn't even know.
Yeah,
I
it
read
was-
the
it was-
paragraph.
I didn't notice it the first time I looked at the email either, quite frankly.
I blew mine up, and I had a hard time deciphering.
So with that, we've given, a scope, there's been a request. We have certain rights. And then we also don't have certain rights, like we can't grant an access way through a state road. So we can do certain things, and then it's up to the, private enterprise to do everything else. So I guess we have to start with what would we like to do and how would we like to approach that. We can look for some form of recommendation or recommendations to kick around at the next board meeting.
How much of a land mass was it? Half an acre?
Feet.
Not much. I would say probably closer to quarter of an acre.
Quarter of an acre.
Yeah.
Anything else on this matter? Perfect. So we did suggest, and if we are gonna go into executive session, I'd like to try to move that to the end of the meeting. Does the board wish to hear more about numbers and details and status about a couple of subjects we discussed, the closing the Metalcraft, to pay off LCO Destiny, and the fact we're discussing with Commonwealth's council about when and how we're getting paid? That's, we can discuss way more than that if you wish. We can move ahead. Okay. Bear with me, I got a computer smarter than me.
For the convol, are you gonna need board direction to authorize? You know,
I'm gonna wait for Justin and his partner Dave to figure out what we're actually going to accept. I mean, right now, that there's like numbers and how, and that's all I can say, is it's not gonna be like, hey, here's everything. It's not that simple. Here's.
Just for clarification, we're gonna be, giving you an update and talking in conceptual terms. There's gonna be no formal action or request
Okay.
from the board yet.
Okay, so, I mean, but I guess the good news is there is conversation going on, there is a commitment to make the full payment over, some short-term period of time. So we're not talking 3 years, we're not talking a year. It seems like it's in short order. But we don't have a commitment in writing either, do we, Justin?
No, sir.
So we'll skip the executive session. New business, it's actually not really in our board packet, but we had an email. I guess this is where the UTEP housing.
Yep.
Discussion might go. That would be the only new business, and then there's a resolution after this. So, Jay, I think you sent the email, so are you leading the UTEP discussion?
Well, I sent the email
Oh,
of
you
Jay's
did?
report. Yep.
Yeah, of his report.
I'll
Yes.
defer to my CEO.
So
Hit the can now.
we have over many years, as everyone knows, been discussing housing in our UTEP. And we have done housing projects. This agency has in the past. One thing that the regulatory agencies would like is that if we are going to do housing projects, to have it in our UTEP policy. So I personally would like to see UTEP housing be in our UTEP, and I would like us to, if it pleases the board, to begin that process. I'm not asking for any, again, just as we say, I'm not asking for any definitive action right now, or up, down, or anything like that. I just want, this agency to be able to do housing projects and incentivize them where appropriate in Jefferson County. That is my personal view, and will of course execute the board's will on that either way. And so that's really the background. I think that there are a lot of things going on inside the county as well as outside the county that make this appropriate in my view, and look forward to hearing what the board thinks.
History. So, back when Fort Drum was expanding, there was a real need for the Army for additional housing. And this agency got pushed hard, pressured hard into getting involved with some pilots on housing. And I can say over the 26 or 27 or 28 years I've been here, that was the worst decision that we ever succumbed to get involved with housing, because we got beat up to no end by the community. That we were supposed to be in a,
industrial development agency and there was no way we should have been in housing. And I really don't disagree because we're bringing in these outside developers and giving them benefits that the local community, local builders weren't having. And I can tell you that there's nothing I think this agency could do to give us a bigger black eye right now than to get back into thinking about housing.
Is there a matrix, what's different now versus what's, was, how things were then? Is there?
Micron needs housing, and guess what? We have a facility to
Right,
deal with
but
housing.
it-
It's called a deviation.
Is
Just leave
there-
it at that.
What's different with this as opposed to when we were doing Fort Drum? I know the state IDAs are talking about it.
The Army, when Fort Drum was, first off, Fort Drum was located in Jefferson County. The Army was in real need when they were looking at bringing more people in here. Their big push was they did not have housing for the soldiers and the people coming here. Yeah,
For us,
Micron, everybody talks about this Micron and how we're gonna be all this housing up here for Micron. I'll grant it, you might get 100 people that
I think it's small amounts.
very small. You might get 100 people or 200 people that'll live in Jefferson County and drive down through there. You're not gonna get 1,000 people driving down 81.
We don't need 801C style by any shape.
You know,
Well,
so-
that's the difference.
801,
Between the Army and what's going on today, is that
No, they were
801?
moving 15.
801 wasn't through this agency.
No, we didn't do 801 through
That
this
was through
agency.
the private housing finance, which I think is also the facility that's being built out by the post office. And that was a 20-year pilot, I believe, and we were in litigation for half the time those things that existed because the screwy deal that was cut. But then there's the RCI housing. That's where we did, is that what it's called?
That's, yeah.
Those are the ones we were involved with.
Where's that?
That's on. Fort
That's
Drum.
all on drum.
Yeah.
Is that lend lease?
They're actually nice.
Yeah.
There's
Yes.
some tours of them, and they're
So-
nice.
But that was how many, it was what, 800 units?
That was,
That was
It
a
was big.
RCI carried this
Yes.
agency for a lot of years.
Standalone.
And that was on Fort Drum, that was a totally
Yeah.
different.
So those are the housing.
Then we
But-
had Creekside over here that, it was so controversial, the county took us out of, put money in there and took us out of Creekside. But then we had the two out on, the one next to Sam's and the one behind Coles out there that we were both pressured into.
I've lived there right beside Dave, and I support my sentiments are exactly parallel with his. Housing for us is Pandora's box. Unless, and some, that 800 unit build out on Drum was a standalone beast. If something like that, yeah, that's the exception, all right? But normal housing in any other situation, all those other projects, it was Pandora's box. The private developers in town, the Jake Johnsons of the world, all those people, it's like, where do you stop and start, the boundary lines?
That's why we have a deviation. Just leave it
We
at that.
do, but it opens Pandora's box. And the other reason we don't have the money. Look at our budget. Yeah, we might could do one or two small projects, incentivizing, but we don't have the resources.
Well, the UTEP isn't about incentivizing with cash dollars. That's about giving them tax breaks for the
True.
developers.
Yeah.
Okay, so, and I would agree with you on that financially is one thing. I almost think that some of these housing things have created the blight issue that you hear about every day in the city.
Yeah.
We did those projects out by Sam's Club and how much are they a month? We didn't create affordable housing. We created housing based around BAH so that they could get in there. I have no problems with opening up the UTEP to discussions about housing, but I agree with Rob. We can do housing now through a deviation, and that leaves the final decision in the taxing jurisdiction's hands whether or not they wanted to give breaks instead of, you know, in the UTEP, if we create a UTEP, where we can unilaterally, like on some of the smaller solar projects, grant a pilot. Takes, other than a public hearing, which one person's attended, I think, in all the time
Yeah.
we've done the solar projects, there's no one comes
In
and
some of
talks.
the examples, they were actually large, well-known hotel chains that develop housing.
But where I would
That's also a
support
big
housing
thing.
is where we're removing blight or reutilization of a blighted property into a housing project
Well, Globe was perfect, but it was co-located.
with
named,
commercial.
Commercial.
You know, where we take a blighted property or we do something, and I've always thought, what's the place right down here where you cross the bridge? The contaminated property.
Black Clawson.
The Etch building where the railroad.
Right, there's a place there where you cross the bridge.
The island.
Yeah, the
Oh,
island.
Seawell Silence?
Yeah.
What a beautiful place that would have been for housing if you could get past the environmentals. For something like that, where you're taking a dilapidated. That's the only place I'm willing to consider the blight reduction, but to support a housing development that doesn't exist for market rate, just brand new housing, I agree with these guys. But I think it's time to review our UTEP on a bunch of little issues too.
Absolutely.
I agree.
Yeah.
So, and if we could do that and get into the discussions on if we want to have housing and get input from the communities.
One thing I do want to just mention on the, and because I too, in some ways, we have, so regarding the Micron piece, there are a couple of state programs that are tied to the Micron project that go around housing and some incentives that are coming from the state. I do generally go along with the line about how many people are actually going to be living here and working at Micron. I do understand that. That may or may not be more significant or less significant. In some ways, we're going to be sort of waiting to see that. However, there's going to be and we've seen it, a large tightening of the housing market in Syracuse, as well as moving north, places like Sandy Creek, Oswego, all those kinds of things. When there is a tightening down there, that does affect us as well. Now, again, we could go back and forth on the significance of that, but what we will see, I do believe we're going to see, is in some respects a tightening of the housing market here, based on the fact that it's down there and that people may not working at Micron, but have lived in Sandy Creek. They're not concerned about the white wall, as we refer to it, considering they've lived it. Those people may or may not have a second property here along the lake or the river or in the camp somewhere. So I guess based on the surrounding area's housing situation, that will affect our housing too. Again, might not be a direct correlation between people working at Micron and living here, but what it'll be is people that are buying houses working in Micron at Sandy Creek that are Northern New York folks that would look at an opportunity to move north to Jefferson County, to beautiful Jefferson County, and live up here. And so that in some ways, and again, there is a piece of this that looks as an opportunity for this agency to do business on this. And again, from the UTEP perspective, again, just my 2 cents, that it makes sense. I don't know. It's kind of a difficult position to be in here. There's a lot of our surrounding communities are putting housing in the UTEP. We hear constantly from the state level folks that this is something that we should be looking at, and so that's kind of why I'm bringing it up. I mean, at the end of the day,
Why don't we do what's been suggested? We've heard some voices. Let's get the UTEP into the right committee. It could even be co-committees, because I know Law and Review has some comments here and there, but let's get it into committees. We've got budgeting coming up in October. I'm just thinking ahead, and we start going through the UTEP either late this year or early next year, because it's going to require public it's gonna require a lot of stuff. And there are a lot of little things, I agree with you, that we didn't contemplate before. Like the runoff of an approval, it stops after some period of time. And we've also run into these, you didn't pay legal fees, and we did everything, and we're not gonna close anymore. Like, there's a couple little oddball things that have occurred to us.
Well, we're supposed to review our UTEP on a periodical
Yeah,
basis.
so this would be it.
So to do that now might make sense. And you could put housing in, but I have no intentions of creating a UTEP where we could unilaterally tell the community this housing is getting a tax break. In any scenario, I think any housing, if we choose to do it, would be a deviation, and then it's up to the local taxing jurisdictions whether or not they
Upping your
want.
school systems.
I do agree with your step concept, Marshall, as far as the domino
Yeah.
effects. And here again, this is still futuristic. By the time Micron's built out, 3 years, I mean, 4 people.
10 years.
Well, I mean, it's 5 years.
Yeah.
The issue hitting us in the face is still 4 years, 5 years down the road. So we got lots of time. But I do ask people to remind, I mean, I remember when Daimler Chrysler was operating in Syracuse, that manufacturing plant. I mean, that was 2,500, 3,000 people. A lot of people from Watertown and north would commute every day to this side of Syracuse for that Daimler
I
Chrysler.
used to go to GE when
Yeah.
GE was open. I mean, this is a mobile workforce.
But bear in mind, what incentivized them to do that was the higher salaries. I mean, they were making back then 10, 15.
But I would say no one moved to Watertown to drive
No,
to Syracuse.
no,
So
true.
people already lived
Right,
here
right.
and didn't have employment,
Yeah.
which I think that's changed. There's actually
Exactly.
sufficient employment.
Yeah.
Lisa, how bad or good is the inventory of properties, rental or to buy from a real estate standpoint? I mean, is there already, is it zero available properties?
I mean, right now, there are quite a few,
Okay.
especially in the city, but there are, everywhere. And the and it's kind of hard to answer because some of the prices, I was looking at it the other day. I mean, you've got a lot that are like 350 to 500,000 that are coming up, and it's not something that a lot of people are going to want to buy. I mean, generally, I'd say 250 is probably a good number for a lot of people,
Right.
And there's still some of those here in the city too. But I think of one person who always comes to council meetings and, going on and on about nobody wants to come to Watertown, nobody wants to live here, and nobody's going to buy a house. He sold his house last week, comes to the council meeting Monday, and is still complaining, whatever. And so I said, well, I see you sold your house last week, so obviously somebody wants to live in Watertown. He smiled. I don't know. But anyway, it's hard to say. I mean, I have had people ask me about like the Globe and how that's progressing. And when you see some of this, it looks great. But then I get a lot of negatives about the housing on Main Ave and on Commerce. Like, is that going to attract more homeless? And is that going to make things look blighted? Or, I've got, one of my colleagues wants to come up with a policy on shopping carts to not allow them on city property because they're considered stolen. And do we want shopping carts on city property that are stolen? And that kind of detracts too. When you see a lot of that around the city, some people don't like it and don't want to live in the city because of that. But I mean, this is the time of year anyway when people are buying. I mean, I don't know how you see it. I mean, obviously in the residential side of loans, but I don't know.
Is it a working class? So somebody maybe, just a couple working class people, are they having trouble finding an affordable home for somebody fresh out of college getting their
It's
first
just-
job? That's where I think
It
there's big
depends.
issues.
It's like, you get these HGTV buyers that they want everything. Their first house has to be their dream house. It's got to have everything for under 200,000. And it's like, it's crazy because, especially when they say, oh, I want a finished basement, I want that, and I'm like, it's, so, you know, we deal with that too. But I think the thing is that, you know, I think that there are a lot on the market, and I keep seeing a lot, you know, and stuff is selling. I mean, I got a 4-unit on my street that it went up for sale, and I think within a week or two they had an offer, and that was $264,000, and it was vacant. Needs a little bit of work, but it went up fast. So it just depends.
I look at the
So-
Autumn Ridge, look at the Autumn Ridge build out, those, and that's private developers, no incentivizing going on there. Full at capacity, most of those people in there, in those single units, or even maybe the 2 bedrooms, they're all at $1,400-$1,800 a month, and they're full. And that's that market, that out of college market, that's what they want.
Okay.
They didn't need any incentivizing.
Oh, yeah, originally they did.
They wanted
They
that.
had a 20-year pilot.
Autumn Ridge, is that Sam's Club? Is
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, 202 or whatever.
Yeah, they have a
They have,
a very complicated pilot.
So I guess, listening to all this,
Buildings.
a couple of weeks ago, I had a local developer approach me and asked me if the IDA would ever consider including housing, pilots for housing. Because this gentleman had a project that he said I could advance if there'd be some consideration of that. Understanding some of the history that I'd heard, David, and about what's happened before, I called Marshall and said, what is our outlook and policy on this? And he said, well, funny you should call. He forwarded me the draft of Jay's report and research that you were doing, that basically when I read it said, oh, well, okay. Other IDAs around the state support housing, with pilots, and consider it, economic development in many ways, et cetera. So, I thank Marshall for the information and said I look forward to the discussions. And personally, I think this agency needs to open up a little bit, open our minds up a little bit, and understand that we just talked about the revenue from pilots being non-existent at this point this year, correct?
So far, yeah.
Yeah. So I guess I look forward to the discussions on the UTEP to see how we might change that in the future. That's the only thing I'll comment at this point.
That's
So
a fair point.
I'm happy to be a part of those discussions and see where we can go with it.
So if we could just push the
We'll leave
UTEP,
it at that.
Yeah, and
push the UTEP into the proper
Right.
committees.
Yeah.
And let's have a good checklist and a good discussion and we learn more of what other surrounding agencies are doing.
Yeah.
Right.
Or how it could impact this agency, good or bad.
yeah, this would be it's one of those things where, much like a previous discussion, wanted to just, we've talked about this in the past, my tenure here, and there has always been discussions around this and strong feelings both ways, specifically one way on this board, and just wanted to talk about it, just bring it up, and that, like when Jay put that together, and had some brief discussions with Justin about it, and since I think that there's I have someone that's reached out to me about it, has reached out to John, as well as some other folks that have discussions about projects, and they're all asking about this because some of the surrounding communities are doing this. So that's really,
When you say surrounding communities.
and I mean Onondaga
County.
County, by the way. just to be specific.
There's no one that touches it.
Because in Jay's report, every county that had it was a significantly more urban
area.
than Jefferson County is.
But these points are all taken, and besides Micron, which I agree, a couple hundred people, potential nuclear reactors out at Fort Drum, the missile defense, there's a lot of far-fetched stuff that could happen. and they all mean people, builders and then operators. So all of these things could occur. We certainly hope we attract some portion or majority of those persons to live in Jefferson County. And guess what? This county can't grow by 20,000 people very, very easily. I don't even know if we have the infrastructure or the land. We definitely have the land, as long as the farmers want to give up some scrub fields. But that's the only land there is.
Non-prime
Scrub fields,
farms.
scrub fields,
There we go.
scrub fields,
Marginal.
class
Marginal.
Class
Marginal,
9
thank you.
soils.
Yes.
I guess in one other
And a
point,
lot of rock for fun.
much like the things that we're doing, us as well as working with the county, as well as working with the development authority and our surrounding communities in preparation. I mean, these are like, it's almost like in some ways, us being ready for business and the build out of our sites and things like that. Part of that also is having places to house them. So I guess, and again, I do understand all these working points. I'm glad, thank you very much for agreeing to just have this brief discussion and again, kicking it back and working through these processes of doing it, not doing it is wonderful, and that's what they're there for. So thank you.
Okay, so your action is just to get the UTEP into a committee, so discussion can start going.
Start reviewing it and making changes where
It
appropriate.
can take months.
Months and months.
I think that was it for new business. Under council, we have a resolution, and before that, there's a letter which I would ask Justin to kind of summarize. It seems quite simple, but sometimes they're not as simple as maybe I read, so if you can summarize what's going on here.
Yeah, sure. The board, many of you were active board members back in 2020 when the IDA approved 4 separate solar projects sponsored by OYA at the time. And shortly after that, 2021, the projects were acquired by NextEra Energy buying through DG Empire Sun. And the IDA at that time approved that assignment along with a collateral assignment of the IDA documents in favor of their lender. There was a merger that you approved in 2022 that kind of changed some of their corporate structures. And since then, the projects have been stable, and NextEra is a great company that has assets all over the Northeast and elsewhere. The short summary right now is that they're undertaking another project financing, and under your IDA documents, when they do a collateral assignment in favor of their lenders, they need to process that through you. So today, you just have a nominal approval to allow that collateral assignment to occur. And in essence, it's the same collateral agent, same banks, and same structure that you approved in 2021. So it's just a bit of a do-over that they requested the IDA's approval for.
Okay, thank you for that. So page 25
Quick
is,
question,
Go
do we need to update seeker for this, or is that for this
No,
action?
it's just the financing behind the scenes, nothing being done with the project itself, no expansions, no new approvals, no new leases. So it's just a financing mechanism.
good question.
Justin, do you view this as acquiring more assets, or is it selling of current assets?
It's, they're not selling anything, or as far as I know, I don't know if they're expanding, they're always expanding with new projects and new capacity, but this is just securing or rearranging some of their existing debt. It may or may not be associated with some tax credits burning off through the project. We're about 5 to 6 years into maturity with them. So they're just rearranging some of their debt portfolio, and this is a function of that.
Thank you.
All right, page 25, we have our authorizing resolution, DG Empire Sun LLC projects, doing business as Oya Blanchard Road LLC with Oya Blanchard Road 2 LLC, Oya Great Lakes Seaway LLC, and Oya New York State Route 12 LLC. resolution 08.07.2025.01, resolution of the Jefferson County Industrial Development Agency approving the collateral assignment of certain project documents entered into by the agency for the benefit of successor owner DG Empire Sun LLC, with the collateral assignments fully described below in connection with certain projects previously undertaken by this agency, authorizing the execution and delivery of documents relating to same. Couple whereas clauses, citing the project again, citing the merger that's been described, citing the original execution in 2021, citing the lender Key Bank National Association as collateral. And that's about the main whereas clauses. This will be a roll call vote, so a motion to accept and a
Yes.
second. Paul's the first.
Second.
Lisa's the second. Any other discussion or questions for council? If not, roll call vote, please.
Rob,
Yes.
Dave,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Lisa,
Yes.
Ed,
Yes.
Paul.
Yes. Hate to
The
see you.
motion carries. I think, is there anything else for council in this meeting?
No, other than, potential executive session if you want to take.
Yeah, the board have an appetite for that, or you just want to get the update, which we're promised, we can read it.
That works for me.
Okay, I think we'll just wait for the written update. Adjournment.
So moved.
First, and I think I heard Bill say second. He was shaking his head. I didn't see it. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? We stand adjourned.
So to ferry it, how close are we to actually
We need a long time.
Have a good day.
being
See you,
active?
Chuck. Thank
You
you.
get that in as well, yeah.
Well, then
It's
the,
executive session.
Board starts, right?
About it anyway.
Yeah, the one.
the report will, from here, will then
You can call all of us.